Hey, this is Daniel Focarino, and this is going to be my week 5 assignment for FTE 211. Today's date is August 11th. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is clear this firearm and show that there are no live rounds or anything in the firearm or in the workplace. So take the magazine out, nothing there. All right, slide back, physically in check, make sure there's nothing in there, and this weapon is now safe, and we will move on to our dry fire. So for our first part for the dry fire, first thing we want to check on is we want to make sure our safeties are working. So you got thumb safety, doesn't do anything. Grip safety, nothing. So we'll do that, point it in safe direction. Trigger reset, and then we will go ahead and load some dummy rounds in there and check it with that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load this in, and then I'm going to rack the slide back where it will feed and chamber and lock all in the same go. Now with the grip safety engaged and no thumb safety on, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and enact the firing process. So fire, I'm going to hold the trigger, I'm going to extract and eject the round, load another one, listen for the reset. Okay, pull the trigger again. Round locks, slide locks back to the rear, trigger reset. All right. Overall, while performing this, the biggest things that I want to check as far as function is to make sure our safeties are working the way that they should, that they're engaging and you cannot pull the trigger. I also want to watch how the rounds are being extracted and ejecting, making sure that there's no excessive marking or damage to the case when it's being pulled out of the chamber. Alright, for part 2, as far as how the trigger feels on this, I'd say it feels pretty smooth. There's not a whole lot of take up within this trigger. It's a lot different than another handgun or a rifle that has a little bit of take up when you initially pull the trigger, and then it actually enacts the firing and it releases the sears, and then sends the hammer forward. So overall, I don't feel like there's a ton of weight that is required to pull this trigger back to the rear. Okay, so for part 3, I've got my 1911 in the vise, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to measure the length of the barrel. So what I'm going to do is I'll stick the rod in through here. I'm going to mark it right here, take it back out, and then I'm going to grab a tape measure and measure the length of it. Alright, so here I got my tape measure. Go ahead and measure that. And we've got a 5-inch barrel. Okay, so now we're going to measure the twist rate of the barrel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rod, I've put a cleaning pad on the end of it with a jag, and then I've got a little flag marker on there, and what we're going to do is insert it into the barrel, and we're going to watch, and as this turns about a quarter, we'll mark it on here, measure it, and then we will go with we'll find out our twist rate. Alright, so go ahead and insert it here, watch it twist right about there, and we're going to go ahead and mark it and get our measurement and see what our twist rate is. Alright, so I pulled it out. I'm going to grab this tape measure and find our mark. And let's see, our mark is right here, so that's 4 inches. So 4 and 4 would be 16, so this barrel would have a 1 16th twist rate. Okay, so our 5th step is going to be to check the headspace on the 1911. So I'm going to use the go no gauge provided. First, I'm going to go ahead and grab our go gauge, and what I'll do is I will open the slide, and I'm going to stick the gauge right down on the extractor here, and then I'm going to close it, and you can see that there's no opening or gap in there, so we know that it's good there. So I'm going to take this one out, and then I'm going to grab the no-go gauge, and I will go ahead and do the same thing, insert that into the extractor, and put that in, and you can see the barrel actually sits a little bit lower down here, so you know that it's not fully locked and the chamber is not fully closed. Alright, so we got everything back together. Last thing we're going to do is just do one more function check just to make sure everything's put back together the way that it should, and that this firearm operates the way that it should. So first thing I'm going to do is rack the slide back, and I'm going to go ahead, safety, doesn't do anything, grip safety, still nothing. So what we'll do is pull the trigger, rack it, listen for the reset, and that's it. That concludes my week 5 assignment. Thanks for watching.